Hello everyone, this is Amanda from Echo Consulting, and today I wanted to show how to use custom fields in Asana and how using those custom fields can be really helpful for getting organized in your work as well as setting up a prioritization scheme for your workflow. So we're looking at a sample project today. This is a content library project. So this is a really great example of how perhaps a marketing team would use Asana or any team or organization that is producing content. So maybe a creative team or something like that. Of course, what we're going to be doing can be used for whatever industry that you're in, whatever work that your team does, but we're just using this example of content today. So if you're curious about navigating Asana overall, we do have some other videos that walk you through the user interface, but a quick primer, we've got our main window here. We've got our list of different views and some options within a project at the top. And then on the left-hand side, we've got our sidebar that shows us some of the pages we can navigate to, the team and project organizations. This is how our work is organized kind of on a macro level. And then, of course, we've got, once again, our main frame here. Now, another thing just to note, because we're going to be spending a lot of time with it today. So we've got our tasks, we've got sections that we can kind of hide and open. And then we've got our fields on the top here. So we're looking at a list view. We're going to stick with a list view. You can think of this as kind of like Asana's data processing view. And so when we make custom fields, it really is a great way to view those fields when we're in this list option. Now, every Asana account or every Asana project has some preset custom fields that are consistent throughout the whole software. Then we have the option to make custom fields to really personalize or customize the Asana environment that you're in. So if you have a paid subscription to Asana, then you have access to this custom fields option. So that would be the premium, the business, or the enterprise level. If you're using the free version of Asana or the kind of basic plan, you won't be able to customize fields, but you will be able to still use the fields that are preset. Now, in our example today, I've actually got two fields in view that are custom fields, so draft due and status. Those are just two examples of some custom fields that you might want to make. But those are ones, again, if you're using the basic plan, they won't show up because they're customized. I made those fields for this example. But again, today what we're going to do is set up a new custom field that is going to be helping us prioritize our work. So in order to see the fields that are available, you want to navigate over to this Show Fields button. And then you can see that all the fields that are available are listed, and they have sort of an on-off switch or toggle button. So we can turn off a field that is already in view. We can turn on a field that is not in view. And so if you really kind of spend a lot of time in Asana, this can be helpful for just kind of really honing what information you need to see within each project. And then as sort of a bonus, if you are working with a view that you really like, so let's say I'm a big fan actually of keeping the projects and the tags fields on. If you really like this view that you're in, you can save it as the default. So you just go to these three buttons or these three dots at the top here, and you go save layout as default. So just a note that part of what makes Asana so great to work with is that it is very user friendly and there's a lot of visibility within the program. And part of that is because you can customize the view a lot and then you can save it. But I'm just going to turn those other fields off for now. If we want to make a custom field, there's actually two ways to access that. So you can do it from Manage Custom Fields. And you'll open up this little side menu on the right, or we can hit the Customize button on the top right corner. And we're just going to scroll down. So it takes us to the same menu, just two different ways to get there. You can see that the draft due and the status fields that I created are already listed. We're going to add a new one. So Asana actually gives us some suggestions here, some ideas to work with, and we are going to take one of those suggestions. We're going to do priority. Now, when we make a custom field, we have to decide, of course, the title, but we also have to decide what kind of field is it and what are the options within that field. So we're going to keep this as a single select, but you can see here you've got a lot of other options for your field. And then we're going to decide what are the options for that single select. So if I add a task to this project, then I want to set the priority. What are the options of priorities? So we're going to make this red one a high priority. We're going to drag this up to the top of the list. It's really nice to be able to decide the order in which these options show up if you sort. We'll make this one medium. We'll change that to orange. 3 is going to be a low priority. And then we'll add a fourth one here. I'm just going to call this parking lot. This is sort of a colloquial term for when you have an item that you know you want to get to at some point, but it's not really on the docket right now. It's not really super important, but you want to sort of still have it recorded somewhere. So it's just a parking lot item. I like to think of it as kind of just setting it aside for a little while. There's other options that you can do in this menu, but we're going to stick with this for now. We'll hit Create Field. And then you can see that the priority field is live, so it shows up automatically. Of course, we can still toggle it on and off if we want by going to this Show Fields button. And we can also decide where this priority field shows up. So we can actually drag it if we want, just like we were dragging a column in a data processor. We can drag it to a different part of this menu. So if priority is really important and you want to see that first, then you can bring it right up to the kind of very edge of the tasks. You can also change the size of these fields, just so you know. So sometimes it can be tricky if you have a really big field space that you're working with. You can actually make those quite a bit smaller or larger. So let's keep priority right after the due date. And then I want to add here priorities for all of these tasks so that I know that when I start to sort by priority, when I start to filter things, that Asana is catching all of the tasks or all of the ideas that we have here in our content library. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of just like assign a bunch of random priority levels here. What are we missing? Parking lot. We'll do another high up here. Also, a quick kind of tip: if you wanna fill in a field for a bunch of different projects or tasks at once, you can click and drag, and Asana will select multiple tasks, and it will. If you change one of the field items, it'll change it for all of those items. You can also do that by if you click the top, whichever like the first one in the list you want to change, and then you hold Shift, and then you click the kind of bottom of the section that you're looking to change, it'll multi-select those as well. And then you can change all of those at the same time, which is just super helpful as a time saver. But I'm just gonna go in, I'm just gonna mix these up a little bit. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to see that right now, the way we've got our Asana set up, it's not going to automatically sort or organize these tasks by the priority. And that's really what we want it to do. So we just have to set that up as a sort option. So you can see these are kind of not really organized in any way. They're still, of course, within their section, but they're not organized in a way that's easy to prioritize. So what we'll do next is we'll go to sort. We'll say add sort by. If we scroll down, we see priority shows up. So it is our most recently added custom field, and so it is going to show up in this list. If we sort by that at ascending or in an ascending way, there we go. So now all of our tasks are organized by priority, and because when we set the scheme within, let me go back to this. We set this scheme so that the highest priorities show up at the top, parking lot shows up at the bottom, and we have this kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4 system. Because we set that up, that's how they're organized. So, and we did it in ascending order. So again, this is really helpful for if you want to start to build out some systems for keeping track of your tasks and projects and organizing them by priority. But also, we can actually filter by that priority as well. So in order to filter by priority. It's really similar, but again, let's say I just come into this as a content manager, as a marketing team member, and I just want to see what are the highest priority tasks on our list today. I'm going to go to filter. I say add filter. Again, find the priority option. I'm going to filter by highest priority. And then boom, we can see right away that the only tasks that we're looking at are our highest priority items. So super, super helpful for keeping our work organized, for prioritizing, and just giving ourselves multiple ways of viewing this data. One more time, I just want to offer, if this view of sorted by priority is helpful, you can save it as the default. So you would just hit these three dots in the top corner. You say save layout as default. Now, every time we come into this project, it's going to show us this view, which is really helpful, again, for just keeping things organized. So that's it for our tutorial today on how to use custom fields to prioritize your projects and your tasks in Asana. If you have more questions about Asana, or you'd like to learn how you can use this software for your team, definitely check out our YouTube channel, Echo Consulting. Also, head over to our website. We've got a lot of resources there. We really like to help however we can to make these tools that are available really work for you and your team in your work. So thanks so much for joining us today, and have a wonderful rest of your week.